Hey guys, this is Dan, and today we're going to be looking at dates in Excel. We're going to be looking at 6 unmissable tricks you have to know down cold so you can actually say you're an Excel user. Let's get started. We're going to start out with date differences. This is something that I get asked from a lot of people who plain and simply don't know that dates are pretty much mathematical. You can do mathematical equations with them or mathematical operations. Say, for example, that we have this table right here, and we have the starting date and the date of today, which is when this video was recorded. All right, I know you're watching this in a different month, and it's probably different. So I'm getting asked for the difference in days. The difference in days, it's going to be pretty simple. How many days transpired from one date to the other? All right. So what I'm going to be doing is pretty much just doing a simple subtraction. I'm going to be asking it to grab today and then subtract from it the starting date. And that's going to tell me that from the 24th of February 2016 to the 23rd of June 2018, there were 850 days in total between the two. Alright? Now, let's check out the difference in months. Now, this is a subject of much controversy because there really is no simple and exact way to do it. Either you do it simple and it's not exact, or you do it so complicated and that's the only way to get it exact. So let's check out the simple way. Simple way to check out the difference in months between two dates. It's just the same way you were taught in elementary school. Grab the difference in days, divide by 30. Alright? And that'll give you a pretty rough estimate, well, pretty almost accurate estimate of how many months there was a difference in between the two dates. 28.33 months. Seems okay. Also, we get the difference in years, which would be the difference in days divided by 365. Again, 2.33 years. Alright, guys? That would be pretty much it for calculating the difference. Now, there's an alternative. This is pretty much for you to show off at the office, because I'm not sure it's pretty useful, but I don't know, a lot of my students actually like that, because genuinely it impresses people at the office instead of actually being useful or workable. Say you want the difference in months. Hate you. Say you want the difference in months, called difference in months too. There's another alternative, and it's called datedif. Alright? Datedif. Now, datedif is one of those secret Excel formulas. I call it secret because you'll notice how when I was typing it out, I didn't get it in the helper menu. Alright? Datedif. And it didn't show up. So that must mean it's secret. That sort of elevates its status within Excel formulas, because a lot of people actually like them knowing, oh, secret Excel formulas nobody actually knows about. Well, there's a reason it's secret. It's sort of useless. Check it out. Datedif asks you for three things: starting date, finishing date, and how you want the differences. So, starting date, comma, finishing date, and I want the difference by month. Alright? So I type in an M right here, as in months, and press enter. Notice how it gives me the amount of complete months, rounded down, of difference between two dates. Alright? Between two dates. And this one is pretty exact. The problem is that it's rounded down. Alright? The problem is that it's rounded down. So all I know is that there are, say for example, here, 23 full months of difference between two dates. That's it. But not much else. Alright? Or for example, I know here that there are 25 full months of difference between two dates. But I don't know how much else there is. Okay, how much more to expect. The datedif function actually takes into account I call it leap years and months with 31 days, stuff like that. But again, I'm not exactly sure where you could apply this kind of stuff. Alright, I'm not exactly sure where you could apply this kind of stuff. Datedif also works for difference in years. Alright, difference in years. You're going to get datedif, and we're going to do starting date, finishing date, and year. Right? I'm sorry. What's thinking out in Spanish? Y for year. Alright? 2 years, 1 year, 2 years, 1 year, stuff like that. Okay? So again, remember, we get it rounded down. We get the result rounded down. In my personal opinion, I think it's better to just go along with the boring vanilla way, which is to divide by 30 to get the months and divide by 365 to get the years. It's pretty accurate enough for us to get real results with this, and I mean, unless there's huge amounts of money involved, I really don't think it's worth for you to go to a hassle of using datedif, right? So that's it, guys, for the first tip. Tip number 2, date formatting. I think this is the main reason for you to be here is date formatting. Date formatting in Excel can be a little bit schizophrenic, all right? Let's get started. Have here a bunch my table over here, and I'm being asked to get the starting date, normal date format, and a bunch of very different date formats. So the starting date format, you'll notice it looks like a number, and this is for a very specific reason. Excel, when it is checking out dates, it doesn't understand them like us humans do. All right, I'll tell you, we'll set up a date and we'll meet on Wednesday, the 22nd of July of 2019. You'll get that absolutely fine. But Excel doesn't really understand that. Excel gets it as the amount of days that has transpired after the 1st of January of 1900. All right. So how many days have transpired after this particular date, the start of the 20th century? Well, that's how Excel understands dates. So we have all of these numbers, we have a bunch of numbers that they're all throughout. I mean, they all look like they're in their 40,000s, they're 42,000s. Well, that's pretty much how many days have transpired from the start of the 20th century up until to this recording. All right. When we get this date and convert it to, I go over to Home, General, Short Date. Notice how it's going to give me a bunch of dates in the 2016-2017 range. All right. Now, why am I telling you this? If you're working for a big company and you have like a database like SAP, or Oracle, or IBM DB2, or whatever, when you export your dates over to Excel, you're going to notice that probably they lose formatting and you get a bunch of numbers like this. All right, do not despair. That means they're dates, but they're dates in the form that Excel understands them. All right, they're dates in the form that Excel understands them. So we're going to be looking at the starting date, normal date format, stuff like that. All right, normal date format is just pretty much grab my date, go over here, and I can grab one of two date formats, short date or long date. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind is that we have decimal places at the very end of our numbers. This means that these are fractions of days, parts of full days. So it's 42,000 days and 0.9 days, all right? And that would imply that I have like a date and a time. But notice how I cannot get a date and a time out of my traditional date formats. Not to worry, we will fix that later on, all right? Now, here's a really interesting part. We are going to force date formats to fit our bidding, all right, to make our bidding, because we really do not like, or at least we're not satisfied with just the two of this. So how would I go about doing that? There's two choices to get there. First one is select the items that you want, right click, and then go click, say for example, format cells, and you'll get it right here. That's option 1. Option 2 is just select the items that you want and press Ctrl 1 on your keyboard, and you'll also get here to a format cells menu. Alright guys, once you're in the format cells menu, you skip over time and date as if they didn't exist. You just shun them and go over to custom. Now this is where the real magic happens. When you're over here in custom, you'll come over here to type and type in the format that you want, and Excel will comply with your wishes. So say for example you wanted DD, that's 2 days, MM, that's 2 digits in the month, and YYYYY, that's 4 digits in the year. Alright, so check out what I'm typing out here. DD. Notice how I get a 24. That means that the day for the date is 24. Now I'll type in a slash. I'll get the slash just like that, and then I'll type in MM. MM means 2 digits for the month. Alright, 02, that's February. Now I have an alternative. 3 M's, that means the month gets spelled out with 3 letters. 4 M's means that we get the full month. Alright, so notice how 1 M is just 1 digit for the month, 2 digits for the month, 3 letters for the month, full month. Alright, so it was just 2 M's slash YYYY. Alright, 4 Y's means I want 4 digits for my year. And that's it. I've gotten a date that I can press OK, get the date, and you'll notice this is very different from the original date, which uses forward slashes, whereas this one uses just those little lines. I'm not sure what their name is in English, but whatever. Alright, now next up we're going to do this one. Again, we go over to format cells, custom, and we're being asked for D/MMM. Alright, so that means we get day and the month with 3 letters. Press OK and we're good to go. And we can do that for the rest. We can do that for the rest of our all of our dates. Alright, just pretty much copying everything from the title, and you'll notice that we get different formats of dates. Now you can play around with this and make some pretty interesting formats. And the custom formatting, I'll make another video on that later. You have a ton of options for actually formatting custom stuff. Now, I'll let you play around with this by yourself, but this is the one that I'm really interested in. Alright, this is the one that I'm really interested in, which also includes hours and minutes. So let's check it out. Notice how I'm getting asked here to use age :mm. Alright, so that is the actual time that is being represented here. Now, I'm going to type in off between these two semicolons, and that means that the word off is always going to be there, present in the information. All right. Now I type in DDMMYYYY, and I get it's 2:09. I mean 2:09, I think, in the morning of 24/02/2016. All right. When I do it this way, I'm going to get military time. Notice how I get told that it's the 1814 of 15/05/2016, so on. If I don't like military time, I have another alternative. Alright, I have another alternative. I can do HHMMSS, that gives me the precise time, but I'll complement it with this, AM PM. Alright, AM PM. Now, this is pretty much going to turn it into normal time, which Americans and pretty much everyone else this side of the world reads normally. Say, for example, it's either AM or 6 p.m. instead of 1814. Now, this is more like a German European style or military time, and this is more like we're used to in this side of the world, right? So, guys, as far as date formatting goes, you can pretty much make anything you want up. Just using your custom format and the date codes, which is D for day, M for month, Y for year, and H for hour, M for minute, S for second. Alright, S for second. So you can mix and match this and do absolutely anything you want with this formatting. And this is really important for you to know, because you'll usually need date formats that are not conventional in your Excel files. Unmissable trick that you have to know. Alright guys, let's go over to trick number 3. You already know that this starting date over here means it's just a number, but we can convert it to short date. Alright, trick number 3 is working with weekdays. Weekdays, Excel has a nifty function that actually gets us the weekday number, from our date. Alright, so if I want to figure out if this is a Monday or a Wednesday or a Sunday, all I have to do is use the weekday formula. Alright, now the weekday formula, all it's asking me is for a serial number. Now this is a fancy way of Excel telling me that it actually wants a date. Right, serial number, it means it wants a date. Now it says serial number because for Excel it's actually expecting something like 42,261. Remember, number of days after the start of the 20th century, but we don't care. We're going to give it a date. That's it. Now return type. This is pretty interesting. It's actually allowing us to choose when the week starts. Now, most people either have it in their minds that weeks start on Sunday or that they start on Monday. But some businesses, especially businesses, they have some weird weeks. I mean, say for example, they start on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Why would you ever need that? Say for example, shift rotation, or restaurants. Sometimes restaurants rest on odd days like Tuesdays, and so their weeks they work different. Now let's assume we are normal people, or weeks go Monday through Sunday. I'm just going to type in 2 here because that is the option that I'm being presented with. Type in 2, and that means that this particular date is the 3rd weekday, assuming we start on Monday. How can we prove that? Well, let's use a different date format, the long date format. And we'll see, for example, here that Wednesday is weekday number 3, Tuesday is weekday number 2, Sunday is weekday number 7, and so on, and so on, and so on. Alright, so now we're being asked for the name of the weekday. There's several ways to go about this. You could just copy the dates and change the formatting to just show the name of the weekday. Let me show you how it would be done. Copy and paste the dates over here, and then I could change the formatting from here to custom. Let's just say it's going to be DDDD. Alright, there we go. We just get names. Alright, we just get names. But if we actually wanted the name like text name, then we have another option. We just wanted text, alright? Because this that we did here, that is not text. That is a number. That is a serial number for the date that is showing us, just thanks to special formatting, just the name of the day. Alright, but if we actually wanted the text that we could manipulate and concatenate and do anything that we usually do with text with it, then I would go about using this particular formula. Now check it out. This formula is going to be, if you learn absolutely nothing from this video, just learn this formula. It's incredible, it's amazing, it's the most useful thing in Excel ever. It's the text formula, alright? Now text, it actually converts elements of date into text, right? Now, it's asking us for a value. We're going to choose the date and to format the text, and I'm going to tell it DDDD between semicolons, and that means grab the date and convert it just into a full name of the date, alright, of the day. Notice how it gives us the bunch of names of the weekday, alright, and this is actual proper honest to god text, alright. This is not just a converted date, this is not just a serial number masquerading as name. This is the actual text, so you can use this in sentences, in strings, concatenate, stuff like that. Alright, name of the month. Again, we have the choices. We could use the date and just apply special formatting to it, or we could use, again, the text formula, apply it to the date, and when it asks us for the format, I'm going to tell it MMMM. Alright, 4 M's means full name of the month. And there we go, we get the full name of the month. Alright, guys? So that's it for tip number 3. You can actually get the weekdays, you can get the name of the weekdays, name of the month, using weekday formula and most importantly, the text formula. Alright guys, let's go over to conditional formatting. This is tip number 4. This is pretty interesting, alright? It's asking us here to highlight only days that are weekend days, specifically just Sundays, alright? We're going to assume we're working for some sort of company that makes you work 6 days out of the week. How inhuman of them, but usually functions that way. I'm one of those. I work 6 days out of the week. Alright guys, so let's get started. The starting date here, let's change it up to the short date, and let's figure out the weekday. Alright, let's figure out the weekday. The weekday, we are going to use our weekday formula, and return type, say it's going to be number 2, right? For a week that starts from Monday through Sunday. Alright, let's change it up. Let's change it up here to long date. I think it's easier to understand. Alright, so we want to paint only the dates that are Sundays. Alright, only the dates that are Sundays. Well, this is actually a pretty simple way. There's actually a pretty simple way of doing it. We are going to select this entire column and we're going to go over here to conditional formatting. Alright, now select new rule, conditional formatting, new rule, and you'll notice we get this new window. Let's go over here to use the formula to determine which cells to format. Now this is probably the most complicated conditional formatting of them all, because you need to type in a formula here that either returns true or false. Alright, no in-betweens. We cannot get a formula that returns 3. That means nothing to Excel. Alright, we need either true or false. When it returns true, when what we're comparing in there actually is valid, then it's going to apply the conditional formatting. When it returns false or anything else, it's going to sit still and pretend nothing happened. Alright, so let's format the values where this formula is true. We need to figure out the way to check if the date is Sunday. Well, that's what the weekday formula is for. We could do the following. Equals weekday. For this particular date, just let's remove the absolute references. And the serial number 2, remember, serial number 2 means it starts on Monday and ends on Sunday. If it ends on Sunday, that means that we need the weekday to be 7. Alright? Now, let's apply the formatting. Formatting is going to be, say, Greenfield. Okay? Let's go press OK and pray to God it actually works. It works, right? Sunday, 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 they're all filled out, right, guys? Now, if you actually want to make this work, say for full weekends, Sunday and Saturday, it becomes exponentially much harder. Now, what I'm about to tell you is just for guys that actually know how to use the OR function, all right? The OR function. Say, let's go over here to manage rules and press this one, press edit rule. All right, so we have to check out either it's a Sunday or a Saturday. All right, we need to press OR over here, and or what it does, I give it a bunch of comparisons, a bunch of logical comparisons, and if just one of them turns out to be true, then everything is true. All right, then everything is true. So we would have two comparisons here. Either the weekday equals 7, that is Sunday, or the weekday is going to equals 6, that is Saturday. All right, and it's going to do both comparisons. If either one turns out to be true, everything is going to be true, and we're going to get green paint on our Excel cells. Let's press OK. Let's apply, and notice how I get this Saturday, the only Saturday on the list, to light up. All right. Again, if you didn't get that last part with the OR, don't despair. That just means that you haven't seen conditional forecast. I'm sorry, you haven't seen conditions yet. I mean, you haven't seen logical functions yet. I'll have more videos on that, or you could actually take the online course that also makes a pretty good job of explaining that. All right, guys. So we are done with tip number 4. Let's go over to tip number 5, data validation. All right, guys. Data validation is pretty nifty. Why? When you're using data validation, for those of you that do not know, you can limit what a user can input into a cell. So in this case, we want to create data validation that only allows the user to type in dates that are from 2017, all right? Just 2017. If the user tries to come in and type in something from 2018 or 1917, they'll get an angry error message from Excel, right? They'll get an angry error message from Excel. Now, data validation is an entire topic on its own right. We're just going to be looking at data validation applied to dates, but I have another video, shameless self-promotion here. I have another video that explains data validation from beginning to end, and it's quite unpopular for some reason. I mean, you should check it out. Really, those tools are incredibly necessary to work with other people. But whatever, let's go over here to starting date. This is in Spanish. Starting date. And let's apply the data validation. Let's apply the data validation here. All right, so we're going to select every single item here. We're going to select every single item. We're going to go over here to data validation, and notice how when the menu opens, it's right here in settings, and it's telling us that it's going to allow any value through. All right, it's going to allow any value through. Well, that's not what we want. We want just dates between the start of 2017 and the end of 2017. Now, notice that we are going to we're going to figure out that we missed a step in between. All right. When I tell it to just allow dates between, it's going to ask me for a start date and an end date. And the best way to type in the start date and end date is for me to figure out what they are. So I'm going to type in here start date. It's going to be the 1st January of 2017, and the end date, it's going to be in December 31st, 2017. All right, guys. So those are my start and end dates. Let's confirm that they are correct. Long dates. So this is pretty much when the year starts and ends. And for some inexplicable cosmic reason, it both starts and ends on a Sunday. What are the chances of that? All right. So now let's go back to my data validation. I select the entire region. I go over here to data. I select data validation, and again, now let's get started. Allow, date between. The start date is going to be this one. Make sure it's an absolute reference, and the end date is going to be this one. Again, make sure it's an absolute reference, or you're going to get screwed on your reference. Press OK, and notice that for starters, this particular date that was not allowed, we get this little green thingy right here. All right, you're looking at that green thingy. All right. We get a notification message, and it's telling me that there's a data validation error because this 2018 is not allowed. Alright, if I type in 5 of May of 2017, we're good to go. But if I try the same thing, 5th of May of 2018, this value doesn't match the data validation restrictions defined for this cell, which means screw you, you didn't type in the data correctly. So that's pretty much how we can limit our users to type in just any particular date that we want, right? Or any particular range of dates that we want. Now, as soon as someone figures out that we can change this one and change the range of dates that we can have here, well, your data validation is not a validation anymore. But usually this isn't to protect against malice from users, it's to protect against stupidity, alright? So any user that knows what they're doing, they'll know not to mess with this. Again, more of that on my data validation video. Last, and definitely least, keyboard shortcuts, alright? Keyboard shortcuts, they're useful to have. Sort of like can't think of any proper analogy that's not offensive, so I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so today's date, let's say for example we wanted to get today's date specifically. Well, I just press Control Shift comma, alright, Control Shift comma, and we'll get the date for today. So let me change that up, Control Shift comma, and we'll get the date for today. Notice how when I press that, the date comes in incomplete. The cursor is still active, it's still blinking. So I have to finish up with an enter to get today's date. And unlike the today formula, this particular date will not change with throughout time, alright? So if, for example, I close this file and I'll open it up tomorrow, it's still going to read the 9th of July of 2018, alright? Now, I have another shortcut, Control Shift dot, alright? Control Shift dot or Control double dot. It's I get right now's time. So I'm recording this video right now at 8:52 a.m. and well, that's pretty much what I get. And again, this time is not going to change at any moment soon. Now, this is useful, the date of today, time of today. I've never seen it applied anywhere at all. But this one in particular is essential, alright? Date formatting. You have a bunch of numbers you want to convert to date. Well, you grab your fingers and you press Control Shift 3 on the keyboard, alright? Control Shift 3 on the keyboard, and you'll get it converted to a date format. This is pretty useful. This is pretty useful for when you're actually dealing with numbers, I mean serial numbers, and you want to convert them to dates. Alright guys, and that is it for tip number 6. So we are done right now with this. Remember, if you liked the video, be sure to hit subscribe, like the video, leave your comment down below. It really helped me out, and I'll be looking at you in the next video. All right, I'll be talking to you in the next video.